Alright, so finally, Hajia Foreal has been extradited back to the US. Hajia Foreal was arrested in the UK for, I don't know exactly what she was arrested for, but I know she was having a case in the US, which was like a $2 million fraud case. Now, after spending so much time in the UK, finally they have sent her to the US, where she's going to face the law. Now, here's the problem. A lot of people don't know how the US system or the judicial system works. Now, I'm about to explain it to you why I think Hajia Foreal has no chance of winning this case. She's facing 20 years. She may not get the maximum, but she's definitely going to get the minimum. She's not going to walk freely. Let me explain to you why. You see, in the US, they have states, right? And each state have their own laws. They have their own laws. Then we have federal. Federal is the country as a whole, the government itself. They have their laws. The laws are similar, but when it comes to dealing with states, laws vary. When it comes to dealing with federal, it covers the whole country. Now, when you have a case with the state may choose not to follow it because they don't have enough funds to do the necessary investigation and get all the evidence to be able to convict you. So when you have a case, you could run to another country and the state may never come after you, because they know that, hold on, going after this person is going to cost this amount. Why should we waste that resources to bring the person back to prosecute? Unless maybe it's a murder. Unless it's a murder. Now, when it comes to federal has to do with any case that is any crime that is committed against the government. So for example, the bank belongs to the government, right? It's the government that runs the banks. So if you commit a crime that has to do with the bank, maybe like a fraud that has to do with checks, or maybe a transfer that came to your account from maybe extorting money from people, anything that has to do with banking, or what else can I give you? Basically, anything that the government is in charge of. If you commit a crime against that institution, you have a case against the government. Now, the government has so much money. The government is not like the federal. Let me say federal. The federal has so much money. It's not like the states where they may just, be like, okay, let's just forget about this case because we don't have enough money to prosecute the person. Federal, which is the government, they have money. They have money. They have so much money that they can spend every dime just to make sure they convict you, unless it's not necessary. So when you look at the history of federal cases, federal barely lose cases. I'm not going to say they don't lose cases. They lose cases. But when you look at the percentage of cases they lose, it's like they win about 90+% of their cases. If they move ahead to prosecute you as an individual, you are losing. Unless maybe they themselves fail to gather or to ascertain all the necessary evidence to convict you. But as far as you winning a case against them, that's not possible unless they themselves drop the ball. That is the problem that we have with this Hajia Foreal case. Because it is not against a state, it is against the US government, the federal. And for them to have Interpol, those who don't know what Interpol is international police. So we have some countries who have signed up with Interpol. So anytime you have a case with maybe the United States and you run to your country, maybe your country may not have any treaty with the Interpol where they are not part. So maybe the US may not be able to come down and pick you. Ghana does, but sometimes they just won't come because of how things work out here. But they will wait till you go to a country like the UK, where they have a great connection with the UK when it comes to policing. So the UK system will be able to grab you and hand you over to the United States. That is what happened with Hajia Foreal. Now, Hajia Foreal case, which is a fraud, that has to do with cyber romance or whatever. Basically, they were pretending, or she was pretending, allegedly, to be in a relationship with some white people in the States, where she was extorting money, taking money from them, giving them false hopes. Now, they have been following her since 2013. When the US government follows you for that long, since 2013, how long has it been? It's been a long time. That means they have been able to gather all the necessary information or evidence they need. And Hajia Foreal knew about the case. That's why she came to Ghana. So this is not something that is new to her. She knew that the case was bubbling up. And the time that it was bubbling up, she decided to leave the States and come to Ghana. So the US have been monitoring her, waiting for her to go to a country that has the whole Interpol treaty and be able to extradite her back to the United States. Now she's back to the United States. The case is about to start. But the problem is, the bond may be high, maybe $100,000 or $50,000 for you to be able to be given a bond, and maybe they may give you an ankle monitor. Those who don't know what ankle monitor is the same thing that they gave to her when she was in the UK. It's a strap that they put on your leg. So every time you cut that strap, the alarm goes off and then they come after you. Some people are able to cut it and still get away with it. Some people cut it and put it in water. Once you put it in water, then it stops them from tracking you or tracking where the thing was cut. So once you cut it, what they do is that they check the whole geographic and try to find out if you are taking a train where the time that you cut it and the time that you will be able to leave the border of that country or that city. So they will try and link up with all the airports, the train stations and everything. So it is very difficult to get away when you have an ankle monitor on. Now, people are asking, is there a possibility that she may win this case? Like I explained from the beginning, this is going to be very, very difficult for her to win this case. Yes, it is going to be very difficult. And it seems like some people who were already involved in this case have been sentenced already. So a lot of snitching has gone on. The only way Hajia Foreal may have a reduced sentence is if she decides to snitch or give up a lot of information about people that she was involved with. In the US, they are always looking out for people who were involved in the case who are still living in the States so that they can also clamp down on them. So definitely Hajia Foreal may be doing a lot of snitching. So if you are anybody who is involved in this case and you plan on or you do travel to the US, you have to be very careful in these times. Because when people are nabbed or when people are caught, that is the time that they decide to tell. Unless maybe they're a gangster or even gangsters do snitch. So this is the time that if you are involved or if you ever done anything with Hajia Foreal that has to do with criminal activities or fraud, this is the time that you have to be careful with your travelings, either to the UK or to the US. So a lot of people have to be careful. Now, this is my advice to all the females out there. You see, many people have decided to engage in this criminal activities, this fraudulent activities. All I want to say to you is that if any guy, your boyfriend, or someone that you know wants to use your image to conduct or to try and extort money from the white people, if you choose to do it, make sure you are paid highly. Because it makes no sense for someone to use your image and give you less than even 10%. If anybody is using your image, or if you are going to use your face to be communicating with, what they call it is that client or the white people that they're extorting money with. If you are going to use your face to talk to them, you have to make sure that the money that is coming, you are taking enough money from it. Don't go and settle for peanuts. I will advise you to stay away from it. But I know times are hard in Ghana and people want to just live in extravagantly. So if you're going to live extravagant and you want to live that lifestyle and you want to engage in these type of activities, please make sure it's worth it. Make sure you are taking enough money from it. Because a lot of people take chump change. But when the consequences come, when the repercussions come, they have to put up with a long sentence, jail sentence or prison sentence. So please, I will ask you to abstain, to stay away from it. But if you are going to get involved in it, please make sure that it's worth your time, it's worth your life. That is the Hajia for real issue. Now let's talk about Black Sherrif. Black Sherrif granted an interview on United Showbiz. And what I will say is that this is the worst interview that Ghanaians have ever watched. But at the same time, this is an interview that it stands to educate all the stars who are coming up. The reason why I said this is the worst interview is that they set traps for Blacko to fall in, for Blacko to say certain things that will provoke Sarkodie or to provoke people, gatekeepers who have said bad things about Blacko. But Blacko is so smart that he was able to dodge them. He understands the game. I don't know how a young guy like Blacko could be so informed, could be so smart and wise. Every question that came at him was targeted to make sure that he commits himself by insulting or by saying something that will provoke someone in the industry. And then it will be like, what do you call it? The talk of the town the next day. Now UTV will be trending, they'll be making money. And then guess what? They have put Blacko against someone at the end of it. And I am glad that Blacko was able to dodge them. He was able to outsmart them. Everything that they threw at his way, he was able to dodge it. People may have found it, or the station may have found it very boring because they didn't get him to commit. They were waiting for him to commit, to say that, oh, Sarkodie did this, what Sarkodie said was messed up, or this comment that someone from the some of the gatekeepers has said about him was wrong. But he didn't say that. He said whatever you said, you felt like saying it, you gained whatever from it. So he doesn't have a problem with you. If someone is commenting or saying stuff about him online, he doesn't turn on his phone. He doesn't even follow what's being said on TikTok or what's being said on Twitter. This guy has a long way to go, and he's going to be one of the biggest stars. Already he is, but I'm telling you, he's going to have a longevity. He's going to be in the industry for a long time because of how smart he is. So that's all for today. My name is Jebi the Mogul, and this place is MMTV. Ask Jebi. Have a wonderful day. One love. Peace.